Hi guys, it's Tom. I hope everybody's doing well. So, no football today, only films. And that certain English striker who plays for Tottenham Hotspur won't be mentioned in one of my videos for the first time for a while. So, my favourite film of all time, I'm going to jump straight into it and then do some considerable mentions afterwards, is Rocky IV. Absolutely brilliant film. If you don't know, a little bit of the information from that film is Rocky's mate, Apollo Creed, fellow boxer, wants to fight this big Russian powerhouse, Ivan Drago. So he challenges to a fight. They fight, and in the end, Drago kills Apollo Creed, knocks him out, and doesn't wake back up. Some say he did it on purpose, and Rocky felt like he did it when the referee asked him to stop. So Rocky offers him a fight. So in the end, after 15 tough rounds, Rocky knocks him out. In a way, that film, it reminds me of City, really. You know, Rocky was complete underdog coming out of retirement because he'd just won the championship in 1985, as it was then. He won it, and he was going to retire, so he came back out of retirement to come and fight Ivan Drago and then beat him. So like I was saying, it reminds me of City because he was the underdog, and City have been the underdog for many years, and they've beaten the powerhouses and become champions just like Rocky has. He came champion for Apollo Creed. Some considerable mentions. You've got your Skyfall from the James Bond collection, a classic film. Back to the Future 3, another brilliant film. I was brought up on the Back to the Future collection. My dad loves it. So yeah, watching those films was just brilliant. You've got your Fast and Furious films as well. I could go on for days because there's so many films out there, but they're sort of my top 4 sort of films that I like. But yeah, Rocky IV hits the top for me. So yeah, that's it for me. Cheers, guys.
Hey Andy, this is Carl from Washington. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. It's one of my favorite. Why? I just love the story about a guy who's wrongly accused, gets in prison, meets a friend, and they become great friends, and they get out, they break prison break. Love the fact that he was able to really make friends, make a difference, and he got out of prison. And I love the cinematography, I love the camera angles, I love the music behind it. I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I could watch it 10 times over. So that's my favorite, one of my favorite movies of all time. Thanks.
Hi, Andy's given me the impossible task of naming my best film. If you know me and my movies, I've got hundreds of favourite films. But if it was on a desert island and I had a Blu-ray player, I had a 70-inch flat screen, and electricity to play it, I could only have one film, it would have to be this one. Have to be Braveheart, Mr. Mel Gibson, obviously. 2 hours and 58 minutes. A so-called biography, drama, history, romance, action, adventure. But what a film! Some great actors: Mel Gibson, James Cosmo, Brian Cox, Patrick McGowan, Angus McFadden, Alan Armstrong, Brendan Gleeson. Many more, plus the beautiful Sophie Marceau and that wonderful accent. And let's not forget the woman I had a crush on. I've probably still got a little bit of a crush on her as well. Catherine McCormick, absolutely beautiful. $70 million it cost. Got 210 million back, which wasn't fantastic, but it was okay. Nominated for 10 Academy Awards and won 5 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Sound Effects, Editing, Best Makeup. And like any great Hollywood biography, historical inaccuracies are all over the place, but it's entertainment, isn't it? It's not a documentary, so that's what we go for. We go to be entertained and enjoy it. But what a film! The speeches, the scenery, the battle scenes, the cast, just pure entertainment at its best. As a proud Englishman, I must admit I don't like it when we get our asses kicked, but I love the patriotism in the movie, and it's a film that gives you goosebumps, some tears, but ultimately lifts the spirit. And at a time where we are now, obviously in the UK and the problems we've got at the moment, I'll leave you with one line from the film. This is a very poignant line from Braveheart. Yes, Braveheart is my favourite film. The line, "Every man dies, not every man really lives." See you later.
Hey guys, Ryan here with a little bit on my favourite film. So I've got a couple. Just going to check when one of them actually came out. I've got a couple, but I think I've narrowed it down to one that I would put at the top. So I think my top 3 at the moment are The Keeper, which is obviously about Bert Troutman, came out a couple of years ago now. which I watched last year and was a very big fan of. It was such a good film. Obviously, the connection to City was the main reason I watched it, but it held up as a film regardless of that as well. The other film that I'm probably going to put just a little bit below is Seven, starring Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. That was the first film that we watched at college on our course, and it was my group's task to. That was the film we were given in our scene recreation, so we had to do the What's in the Box scene at the end. I ended up acting in that as Morgan Freeman, as you can see. I think I suit the role very well. I mean, just look at me. But yeah, that's a great film. I've watched that a couple times since. I don't really watch a lot of films, so if I've watched a film more than once, I like it quite a bit. But at top, I'm probably going to have to put the second part to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I think that's more based on, rather than the individual film, I think it is based on the entire series and how much I love the series, really. But the last film was just action after action after action. And while I don't like the end, just the end, yeah. I'm not a fan of the end, but the rest of the film is amazing. The rest of the series is amazing, and that's why that's probably my number one film. So back to Andy / whoever.
There's one of the film that I wanted to give a shout out. My wife mentioned and said, I can't believe you didn't put that down on your favourites, and it's The Commitments. And yeah, I can't believe I actually missed it off. If you've not seen it, it came out in 1991. It was from the book by Roddy Doyle, and it was directed by Alan Parker. And I remember reading the book as well as watching the film, and it got me into Roddy Doyle's books, things like the Barrytown trilogy and Paddy Clark and The Van. Very, very, very funny books. But it's a story of a sort of late 80s Dublin, high unemployment, a guy living on a council estate with his parents and his sisters, and called Jimmy Rabbit. And Jimmy wants to put a band together and ends up having auditions in his house, and his father loves Elvis and he thinks he can croon like Elvis, and yeah, so he has these auditions, puts this sort of ragtag band together, and then one day he's approached by a very mysterious figure on I think it was an old Honda 90 bike, and this guy called himself Joey the Lips Fagan, a trumpeter who apparently had been on tour for decades with all the old soul classics like Wilson Pickett and others, who he claimed to be a very good friend of. So what they do is they put together a band, and they decide to go down the route of Dublin soul, and it's hilarious. And there's one in particular, a bus conductor called Deco. He's the singer, causes loads of trouble. And but I think it was his name, Mark Strong or something like that. A wonderful, wonderful voice. But there's just so many funny clips in it. One in particular, which runs throughout the book and the film, is Jimmy Rabbit pretends to be interviewed by Terry Wogan while he's in the bath, about how he's become famous and things, and sort of culminates in right at the end when Joey the Lips Fagan says Wilson Pickett's going to turn up and watch their gig, and they think that's it, they've made it. But as usual, there's a twist in the end, and they all end up fighting and falling out, and Jimmy Rabbit thinks it was all a load of nonsense, and Joey the Lips Fagan was just bullshitting him basically, until he's walking down the road and all of a sudden this limousine pulls up and somebody asks where the Commitments are playing, and in the back of the car it's Wilson Pickett. So they missed out on the big chance in it. So it's just a really, really good film, and if you haven't read the books, Roddy Doyle books, go over and read them. They're absolutely brilliant. But I had to give a shout out to The Commitments. That's mine.